Did you ever think what it would be like traveling along in an open car without a windshield? Boy, you wouldn't go very far before you got all splattered with mud. And you'd have to keep your eyes closed so as not to be blinded by the dust. Well, when you're traveling along in life, Rangers, common sense acts as a pretty important windshield. It lets you see where you're going.
I am the greatest.
Welcome everyone. This is Emend, the Mass Media Group. I just need to check my audio real quick just to make sure that we are in here. Yep, audio sounds good. All right, so let's go. So today we're going to be talking about the CLBC, in particular SB 518, the Descendants of Enslaved Persons Reparation Bill. They do have some updates to that, so we're going to get into that, obviously. This is the Road to Reparations here in California. This is part 3. If you haven't seen parts 1 and part 2, please go check that out. But before we actually get into the revisions, I want to do some quick housekeeping as usual. All right. So you haven't seen the documentary, Reparations Now, please check that out on Tubi, or you can go to reparationsnowdoc.com. You can also support us at etnmediagroupstore.com, etnmediagroupstore.com. The link is in the description of this video. And for those that do shop on Amazon, just click on that link also in the description, and you should be able to shop and support what we do here at Emend, the Mass Media Group. So greatly appreciate that. All righty. And let's see what else is going on. All right, so the end of this month, April 22nd, down in Temecula, we have our good people down there in Southern California. They're going to be holding a reparations information and community shop talk session down there. So if you are near the area, please go and support our good brother Chris Lodgson of the California for Just and Equitable California will be there hosting it. So if you can see in the screen, go ahead. There's the information. If you need more information on it, you can visit cjec-official.org as well. But yes, that's going to be in Temecula. So thanks for our hosts down there, Mr. Reggie Romaine, for hosting this wonderful discussion. Greatly needed. All right, that's April 22nd from 3 to 5 p.m. Also, we have SB 437 and SB 518. That's going to be heard in the Judiciary Committee. That's coming up April 22nd. Once again, that's at 9:30 a.m. We are planning on actually streaming it, but if you are in Sacramento, and I understand most of us do have 8 to 5s, so we understand if you can't make it. So definitely tune in here to ETN Media. But if you can, please attend that hearing. As a matter of fact, let's go over, since we have it here, the Senate Judiciary Committee. All right, so the Senate Judiciary Committee consists of 13 members. All right, 11 Democrats, 2 Republicans. The duty of the Judiciary Committee is to investigate and study bills amending the following: Civil Code, Code of Civil Procedure, Evidence Code, Family Code, and Probate Code. It also studies bills relating to courts, judges, court personnel, liens, claims, unclaimed property, privacy, and consumer protection. A majority vote is required for a bill to pass in this committee. All right, Thomas Umberg, Democrat, is the chair. Roger Niello is vice chair. He's a Republican. Benjamin Allen, a Democrat out of District 24, is the member. Angelique Ashby, District 8, is a member. Ana Caballero, Democrat, District 14, is a member. Maria Elena Durazo, Democrat, 26, member. Member John Laird, Democrat, he's in District 17. Eloise Gomez Reyes, Democrat, District 29. Henry Stern, Democrat, District 27. Suzette Martinez Valadares, she's a Republican, District 23. Aisha Wahab, Democrat, District 10. Akilah Weber Pearson, who is the author of SB 518 and SB 437, which we are going to be going over today, specifically SB 518. She is the author of it. She is a Democrat, District 39, and Scott Wiener, District 11, and he is a Democrat. All right. And let's see here. Actually, I was going to get into AB 1315 just as a reminder, but we'll get back to that. So I want to go over the California legislative deadlines here. Here's a schedule for 2025. I think some important dates. Well, they're all actually important dates, but I just wanted to highlight June 6th is the last day for each house to pass bills introduced. That means that any bill, for example, in the Senate, this is the deadline for that. Vice versa, any bill that's passed in or introduced in the Assembly, this is the deadline for bills that are introduced in that particular house. So this is June 6th is something to note. Also, let's see here. Where we at? I just lost my point here. Oh, the budget bill. Yeah, the big budget bill. That's important, right? The monies. June 15th. Important. That's a budget bill, must be passed by midnight. So the legislation and the governor must get together and pass that budget bill. So let's see where the money is headed on June 15th. And then I just kind of wanted to jump to August 29th. That's the last day for FRISC committees to meet and report bills. Once again, obviously that's dealing with some money. And September, let's see, 2nd, and okay, September 12th. That's it. September 12th is the last day for each house to pass bills. All right, so obviously, I think it was August 31st. How can we forget that date of last year? Was an important day for each house to pass bills. So September 12th, 2025 is the deadline for each house to pass bills. So we definitely want to keep everybody engaged and informed. So if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe. So we greatly appreciate that. And we're still looking for an author for AB 1315. We did a show last week regarding Bill Asaley, who is now a U.S. attorney representing here in California. So he has transitioned to that. Now, I don't know, family. Actually, I need to do some follow-up. I don't know if he's been confirmed yet. I think he had to be confirmed. So we definitely need to do a follow-up on that. All right. So, okay, family. So actually, we're just going to get right into it. I know everybody's busy, so I just really appreciate your time. Let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right. Go down. All right. So I'm not gonna read this Legislative Council's digest. You know what? Actually, let's just go ahead and do it. I might as well do the whole thing. Let's not be lazy. Let's be thorough. All right. So I know sometimes we repeat ourselves, but I think it's important because you just never know who's going to be watching it, and actually somebody who might actually come onto the platform or might be watching this video may be new. So I don't know. When bills are amended, at least through California legislation, they usually highlight things in blue, which denotes the revisions. So as you can see here on the screen, you can see some blue that's in here. So I was going to skip the digest because last time I believe we read the bill, we went through this digest. But since they did change the digest as well, gotta read it. All right, family. All right, let's go. Senate Bill 518, introduced by Senator Weber Pearson, co-author Senators Richard and Smallwood Cuevas, co-authors Assembly members Bonta, Bryan, Elharawi, Gibson, Jackson, McKenna, Ransom, Sharp, Collins, and Wilson. All right, let me just check my audio once again, family, just to make sure that we are still good. All right. All right, we are good. All right, so here we go. Legislative Council's Digest SB 518 as amended. So that means the bill has been amended or revised. Weber Pearson, Descendants of Enslaved Persons, Reparations, former law until July 1st, 2023, established a task force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. Task force. Former law required the task force, among other things, to identify, compile, and synthesize the relevant corpus of evidentiary documentation of the institution of slavery that existed with the United States and the colonies, as specified, and to recommend the form of compensation that should be awarded, the instrumentalities through which it should be awarded, and who should be eligible for this compensation. The bill would establish the Bureau of Descendants of American Slavery within the Department of Justice. All right, so we need to take note of that, okay? So we're talking about the Department of Justice. Originally, this bill was supposed to be heard through the governmental organization, but now it's going to be held in the judiciary. All right, so now this would be established within the Department of Justice. All right, take note. Under the control of the director, who would be appointed by the Attorney General. The Attorney General currently is Rob Bonta, and confirmed by the Senate. The bill would require the Bureau, as part of its duties, to determine how individuals' status as a descendant would be confirmed. The bill would also require proof of an individual's descendant status to be a qualifying criterion for benefits authorized by the state for descendants. To accomplish these goals, the bill would require the Bureau to be comprised of a genealogy division, a property reclamation division, an education and outreach division, and legal affairs division. The bill would, upon appropriation, impose specified duties on the property reclamation division to accept, review, and investigate applications to determine whether an applicant is a dispossessed owner, and if so, to determine whether and what type of property or just compensation is warranted, as defined and specified. In this regard, the bill would require a local entity, upon a determination that issuing property or just compensation is warranted, to recommend publicly held property suitable as compensation and to provide compensation in accordance with the division's determination. by imposing new duties on local entities. This bill would impose a state-mandated local program. This bill would include findings and declarations relating to a gift of public funds. The California Constitution requires the state to reimburse local agencies and school districts for certain costs mandated by the state. Statutory provisions establish procedures for making that reimbursement. This bill would provide that if the Commission on State Mandates determines that the bill contains costs mandated by the state, reimbursements for those costs shall be made pursuant to the statutory provisions noted above. Vote majority, appropriation, no. Fiscal committee, yes. Local program, yes. The people of the state of California do enact as follows. Section 11500.2.5, except as provided in Chapter 4, commencing with Section 15210, the Attorney General may arrange and classify the work of the Department of Justice and consolidate, abolish, or create divisions, bureaus, branches, sections, or units within the department. Any statutory or other reference to the Office of the Attorney General, the State Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation, the Division of Law Enforcement, or the Bureau of Gambling Control shall be construed to refer to the division, bureau, branch, section, or unit within the department which is performing the functions referred to, and no such function shall be abolished without express statutory authority. Chapter 4 is added to Part 6 of Division 3 of the Title 2 of the Government Code to read, Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. Looks like some updates here in blue, general. It is the intent of the legislature in establishing the Bureau to establish an initial framework, and it is the intent of the legislature that the scope and responsibilities of the Bureau may expand as necessary to fulfill its mission and address additional harms as identified. It is the intent of the legislature that as the Bureau expands its scope in the future, it shall also advise on the reparative remedies for the African American community to address the lasting harms of disenfranchisement, segregation, discrimination, exclusion, neglect, violence, and the persistent consequences of this legacy. For purposes of this chapter, Bureau means the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. B, descendants means descendants of an African American child or enslaved person in the United States, or descendants of a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. Director means the director of the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. Racially motivated eminent domain means when the state, county, city and county, district, or other political subdivision of the state acquires private property for public use and does not distribute just compensation to the owner at the time of the acquisition, and the acquisition or the failure to provide just compensation was due in whole or in part to the owner's ethnicity or race. Notwithstanding Section 15002.5, the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery is hereby established within the Department of Justice. All right. The Bureau shall be under the direct control of a director who shall be responsible to the Attorney General. The director shall be appointed by the Attorney General and confirmed by the Senate and shall perform all duties, exercise all powers, assume and discharge all responsibilities, and carry out and effect all purposes vested by law in the Bureau. The salary of the director shall be fixed pursuant to Section 12502. The Bureau shall establish a mission statement consistent with the recommendations from the former task force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans, with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. As part of its duties, the Bureau shall determine how an individual's status as a descendant shall be confirmed. Proof of an individual's descendant status shall be a qualifying criterion for benefits authorized by the state for descendants. To accomplish these goals, the Bureau shall include all the following divisions. A genealogy division to do all the following: establish a process to certify descendants of American slaves, create a method for eligible individuals to submit claims and receive compensation or restitution for the particular harms California inflicted upon the claimant or their family, Establish an equitable alternative qualifying criterion for benefits for descendants authorized by the state in cases where an individual's status as a descendant cannot be confirmed or proven. B. Property Reclamation Division to do all of the following. Research and document California state properties acquired as a result of racially motivated eminent domain, including properties that no longer exist due to state highway construction or other development. Create a database of property ownership in the state identifying properties acquired through racially motivated eminent domain or other discriminatory government action. Review and investigate public complaints from people who claim their property was taken without just compensation pursuant to Article 2. Upon appropriation, distribute just compensation for the fair market value adjusted for property price appreciation of the property at the time of the taking, pursuant to Article 2. Address cases where individuals experience harm due to the policies and practices of state and local agencies. C. An education and outreach division to develop and implement a public education campaign regarding the cycle of gentrification, displacement, and exclusion, the connection between redlining and gentrification, and the history of discriminatory urban planning in California. A legal affairs division to do all of the following. Provide legal advice, counsel, and services to the Bureau and its officials. Ensure that the Bureau's programs are administered in accordance with applicable legislative authority. Advise the head of the Bureau on legislative, legal, and regulatory initiatives. Serve as an external liaison on legal matters with other state agencies and other entities. Conduct a review of past and current laws, as well as proposed legislation to determine whether those measures have caused, are causing, or may continue to cause harm. The division shall provide recommendations to mitigate or eliminate any harm identified in its review. Property Reclamation Division. The legislature finds and declares that it is in the public interest to compensate victims of racially motivated eminent domain, which deprive citizens of just compensation for their property due to racially discriminatory motives. The unjust taking of land without fair compensation destroyed communities, forced many from their historical neighborhoods, deprived those persons of the fair value of their property, and in many cases, prevented the accumulation of generational wealth. Providing compensation to those victims of racial discrimination will restore the value of wrongfully taken property to disposed owners and hold government entities responsible for those wrongful discriminatory acts. B. The article shall govern the procedure by which disposed owners and their descendants may seek a determination that they were the victims of racially motivated eminent domain and seek the return of the taken property, other property of equal value or financial compensation. 125216. For purposes of this article, the following definitions apply. A. Disposed owner means a person who has had property taken from them as a result of racially motivated eminent domain or a direct descendant of the person whose property was taken. B. Publicly held property means property that is owned by the state or by the local agency that took possession of the property that is the subject of an application submitted pursuant to this article. Upon appropriation by the legislature, the Property Reclamation Division within the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery shall do all of the following. Accept applications from persons who claim they are the disposed owner. Review and investigate applications submitted under Division A. As part of its review, the division may request submission of additional information supporting the application that is reasonably necessary to verify the application, determine whether the applicant is a disposed owner, including determining whether the taking was racially motivated. If the division makes a request for additional documentation, it shall communicate that request to the applicant with a notice of the additional information required. The division shall consider any additional information provided by the applicant within 30 days of the receipt. After reviewing all of the relevant materials, determine whether the applicant is a dispossessed owner. If the division determines that an applicant has established that they are a dispossessed owner pursuant to division or subdivision C, the division shall determine both of the following. The present day fair market value of the property that was taken as a result of racially motivated eminent domain. whether issuing property or just compensation to that disposed owner would serve to redress past acts of racial discrimination, prevent future acts of racial discrimination, and benefit the whole of the community and its general welfare. If the division determines that issuing property or just compensation to the dispossessed owner is warranted pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D, the division shall certify that the dispossessed owner is entitled to one of the following. 1. If the taken property is still in the possession of the public entity that took the property, the return of the taken property. 2. If the taken property is no longer in the possession of the public entity that took the property, the division shall solicit from the state or local entity as applicable a list of recommendations of publicly held properties that are suitable as compensation and select a publicly held property as compensation. If the taken property is no longer in the possession of the public entity that took the property and no public held property is suitable as compensation, financial compensation equal to the fair market value determined pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D. F. If the division determines that an applicant is not a dispossessed owner or that issuing property or just compensation is not warranted, the division shall notify the applicant of its finding. The applicant may appeal the determination within 60 days of receiving the notice and provide additional information to support their claim. The division shall consider the appeal and any new information provided and issue a determination on the appeal within 120 days. 15218A, if the state or local entity that took property by racially motivated eminent domain does not provide compensation in accordance with the division certification in subdivision E of section 15217, the dispossessed owner may bring a claim for compensation under the Government Claims Act, Division 3.6, commencing with section 810 of Title I. A claim brought pursuant to this section shall not be subject to the statute of limitations, whether the action is brought before or after the enactment of this article. This article does not disturb or invalidate the title of any property taken by racially motivated eminent domain, except against the state or local jurisdiction as set forth in this article. Every finding, decision, determination, or other official act of the Bureau is subject to judicial review in accordance with existing law. The legislature finds and declares that the addition of Chapter 4 to Part 6 of Division 3 of Title 2 of the Government Code by this act serves a public purpose and does not constitute, let's see, you guys give me a second here. I just need to confirm something. All right. Okay. Let's get back to it. Sorry for that quick pause. All right. Let's see where we're at. Every finding, decision, determination, or other official act of the Bureau is subject to judicial review in accordance with existing law. The legislature finds and declares that the addition of Chapter 4 to Part 6 of Division 3 of the Title 2 of the Government Code by this act serves a public purpose and does not constitute a gift of public funds within the meaning of Section 6 of Article XVI, I believe that's 16, of the California Constitution by redressing past acts of racial discrimination, preventing future acts of racial discrimination, and benefiting the whole of the community and its general welfare. Section 4. If the Commission on State Mandates determines that this act contains costs mandated by the state, reimbursement to local agencies and school districts for those costs shall be made pursuant to Part 7 of Division 4 of Title 2 of the Government Code. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So those are the revisions and or updates, or I guess in government speech, amendments to SB 518, Descendants of Enslaved Persons, For those live, let me know what you think of these updates. And if you guys want to put anything in the comments, please do so. I think one thing that's a big update, obviously, is this is going to be in the Department of the DOJ, Department of Justice. Yeah, I don't recall that. I mean, if anybody else, let me know. I don't recall that being a recommendation by the task force, but if it is, hey, let me know. But I don't recall that being a recommendation. And also another recommendation was that they're calling it bureau, but the agency should be called the American Freemen, the California American Freemen. Why am I drawing a blank? The California American Freemen Affairs Agency. There you go, the CAFA. So once again, the CLBC is calling this a bureau, which, if you haven't seen our past shows here, please go back. But there's definitely a huge difference between a bureau and an agency. Agency actually has more, I guess, autonomy. And also in this case with California in particular, the agency would actually have its kind of own separate division, while in this case, the bureau is going to fall underneath the DOJ. So, those are the two biggest things to note. I mean, I see some pretty good things in here. I mean, I don't think this bill is all that bad. It's definitely going to, in terms of race, it's going to have some scrutiny on that one for sure. Throughout this bill. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously, SB 437, is definitely a bill that's going to have some discrepancies with that one as well. Just, family, just give me a second. I want to follow up just to see how this immigration bill is doing, because that's actually an agency bill. Let me see here. I believe is it SB 12? I think it's SB 12. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen, family, and then I'm gonna go to the comments. And thank you. I'm gonna share this screen. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm just going to, we've already went over this bill. If you haven't checked that one out, I think we actually recorded a hearing too on this bill. So as you can see, SB 12 for descendants of, they're calling it American slavery. That's a bureau, and the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs is actually having an agency. So immigrants are actually getting an agency if this bill passes. I just want to check on the status here real quick of this bill, see where it's at. All right, so let's see. April. This is the last update from Committee with Odds Update, read second time minute, referred to Judiciary. Okay. So looks like this is the next committee hearing for this bill is on the 22nd. That's April 22nd. So this looks like the same day in the Senate that's going to, oh, wait a minute. So it looks like this is going to be on the same day as SB 518 and SB 437. Interesting. All right. You know what? Family, please give me a second. I'm gonna go check to see. I know this is live. I'm doing this all live, so please forgive me. Appreciate your patience, but I'm just gonna check out the agenda because I just had no idea. We're just going off the cuff, but please like, share, and subscribe. So let me go to. Let's see here. Give me a second. Trying to pull all this information up. Let's see here. Okay, and the 22nd. I'm I'm going to share my screen shortly. I just need to go to the agenda for that day. Let's see. Judiciary view agenda. Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to share this screen here. Let me see if you guys see my screen. Okay. All right. So the agenda that's coming up on Tuesday, we have, let's see, SB 518. I think it should be on there now. Wait, special order at here. Should be on there. Let's see. Unless I'm missing it. Okay, there it goes. 518 and 437. Okay, and then let's see, SB 12. All right, let's see. There it goes. Gonzalez. Okay. So yeah, so looks like SB 12 is going to be heard at the same time as 518 and SB 437. All right. So yeah, so there goes the revisions and the updates for 518. So let's see what's going to happen on the 22nd with this bill. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we are going to go back. All right. Okay, so once again, AB 1315 has yet to receive an author. So hopefully that bill will still be picked up so we can get this introduced. Most likely it's going to go through the governmental organization first, but I mean, who knows? But we definitely need to get it, it's been introduced, but referred, I should say, through the Rules Committee. And as a matter of fact, hopefully let's have that slide up. All right. So here's the Rules Committee. So we're waiting on the chair of the Rules Committee, Blanca Pacheco, and also the vice chair, Tom Lackey, to get this referred. So there's that information. Go ahead and contact them and ask them, hey, where's AB 1315 at if you do support AB 1315. All right. So once again, April 27th. Please, if you're in that area, go down to Temecula and shout out to Rare Essence Barber and Beauty Salon for hosting that wonderful event with our good brother Chris Lawson of CJEC. And upcoming April 22nd at 9:30 a.m. SB 437, the California State University Claim Eligibility, Genealogy, and Descendancy Bill, along with SB 518, Descendants of Enslaved Persons. Reparations will be heard in the Judiciary Committee. All right, family. All right, thanks everybody for coming through. Shout out to our good sister reps. What's going on? Welcome, family. Happy Easter to y'all. Happy Easter to you. Please come. Please, as you come, and hit the like button. Yes, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe. All right. Read it all. Yep. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. So, family, thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter. All right. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, happy Easter for those on the live and for those on the replay. Please take time out for yourself. I know there's some tumultuous times going on right now with the current administration on the federal level. And then for those in other states, I'm sure you guys are having your challenges as well. But we're going to keep fighting and we're going to keep getting through it. Appreciate that. You take care. You take care, family. Great live. Appreciate that. All right, family. So that is it. We are out of here. And as always, once again, take care of yourself, you and your family, and we will see you on Tuesday, family. So please be aware, Tuesday, April 22nd. If you can't watch it, then always check out the live because we want to keep everybody up to date. Once you know, there's no excuses. All right, we are out. Once again, take care of yourself. Peace, love, and definitely lineage-based reparations.
I think that the black Americans have been the only real die-hard Americans here, because we're the only ones who carried the process through the process. That everyone else has to sort of like skip stages. We're the ones who marched, we're the ones who carried the Bible, we're the ones who carried the flag, we're the ones who tried to go through the courts. And being born American didn't seem to matter. Because we were born Americans, but we still had to fight for what we were looking for. And we still had to go through those channels and those processes.
I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto replay. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history, you'll get played. Equip yourself cause you came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm X and his delivery.